My son stepped into my own doorway, put both arms out like he was guarding a gate, and said, "Dad, you are not going into that room while my wife's family is here." I stood there for a long moment, looking at my own son blocking my own path. Then I turned around, walked to my car, and called my lawyer before I'd even started the engine. My name is David Halverson. I'm 63. I spent 31 years running maintenance and compliance for the Portland Municipal Water Authority. My entire career was making sure nobody in this city turned on a faucet and got something they didn't expect. Turns out I should have paid closer attention to my own house. I retired 2 years ago with a pension, a paid-off house on Selwood Avenue, and exactly one hobby, which is annoying my wife. Before I tell you what happened, tell me where you're watching this from. I'd love to know. Carol and I have been married 38 years. We married in her mother's backyard in Milwaukee, with a card table of deviled eggs and my uncle butchering an accordion. We have one son, Ryan, 34 now. He married Amanda 6 years ago. That's the setup. Here's how it fell apart. Carol worked 26 years as an elementary school secretary. She remembers everyone's birthday, including the mailman's, and she once made a grown man cry apologizing to her at the DMV. Not by yelling, just by asking one calm, specific question. Nothing gets past her. Gary Winslow has been my best friend for 24 years, since a softball team that doesn't exist anymore. He retired from the Postal Service 4 years back, and now fixes lawnmowers nobody asked him to fix. Our life before all this was quiet in the good way. Sunday dinners, Carol's garden, Gary showing up uninvited with beer and opinions, Ryan calling most weeks. Less after he married Amanda, which I told myself was just marriage, not anything to worry about. Amanda is 32, a paralegal at an estate planning firm downtown called Reyes and Blackmore. Sharp, organized, the kind of person who color codes things. I liked her fine at first. Polite at dinner, asked good questions. Remembered Carol takes her coffee with 2 sugars. What I didn't know for 4 years was that she and Ryan had sunk almost everything into a restaurant on Hawthorne called the Copper Skillet, and by early last year it was bleeding something like $11,000 a month they didn't have. The warning signs were small enough that I didn't think twice. Last February, Ryan asked, casual as anything, whether Carol and I had ever set up a living trust. I said no, just simple wills from years back. He said that was smart to look into. People our age should think about that stuff. I said, sure, someday. In March, a woman from a title company called our house, confirming an appointment neither of us remembered making. I figured it was a wrong number. In April, some of our mail stopped showing up. Not all of it, just certain things. A couple of bank statements. I chalked it up to the Postal Service being the Postal Service, no offense to Gary. One Sunday that April, I dropped off a letter at Ryan and Amanda's place and heard Amanda through the screen door, on the phone, sounding tired in a way I hadn't heard before. She said she just needed 6 more months. That she had a plan. That nobody was going to lose the restaurant on her watch. I felt sorry for her. I didn't think anything else of it. Looking back now, I know exactly what 6 more months meant, and exactly whose money was going to fund that plan. I'm not a paranoid man. I spent my whole career trusting systems to work the way they're supposed to. That was exactly the problem. In June, I went into our Umpqua Bank branch to add Carol as a joint signer on a CD. The manager, Diane Kowalczyk, who'd helped us for 11 years, pulled up our account, and her face changed. "David," she said, "there's a power of attorney filed against this account from back in March." I told her that wasn't possible. She turned the screen around. It listed Amanda Wexler Halverson as attorney-in-fact for David Halverson. Full authority over banking, real estate, and financial decisions. Notarized March 14th. I'd never signed it. I'd never met the notary. And looking closer, that wasn't even my signature. Just close enough to pass a glance. I drove straight to the county recorder's office and pulled the filing myself. 4 pages. My name typed clean across the top. A signature with the D curving wrong. A notary stamp from a woman named Sharon Meeks I had never met in my life. Clipped behind it, a second document. A deed transfer request for the house on Selwood, not filed yet, sitting in a folder, waiting on the power of attorney to clear so it could go through. My house, paid off in 2019. waiting to be moved into somebody else's name. I sat in my truck in that parking lot a long time. My hands didn't shake. They just went still on the wheel, like they'd stopped being useful for anything. That night I called Gary. "I think Amanda's trying to steal my house," I said. Long pause. "Say that again, slower." I told him everything. He went quiet, then asked, "Does Ryan know about this?" I said I didn't know. Gary said, "That's the part that's going to hurt worse than the money." He was right. The next morning I called Rebecca Voss, an estate litigation attorney Diane recommended. Direct, 51. With a laugh like a car alarm she pulls out maybe twice a meeting, always when you don't expect it. She read the filings once, set them down and said, "David, this notary doesn't exist. There is no Sharon Meeks registered in the state of Oregon. Somebody manufactured this." Her plan was simple and airtight. File an emergency revocation of the power of attorney. 10 days to process, freezing any transfer. Subpoena records from Amanda's firm to trace the notary template. Prepare a civil complaint for fraud and forgery. Prepare a state bar referral, since Amanda's paralegal certification came with strict ethics rules covering exactly this. The criminal referral would wait until the paper trail was locked. Prosecutors want evidence, not accusations. And I was not to say one word to Ryan or Amanda until she gave the go-ahead. "How long?" I asked. 6 weeks, give or take," she said. "And David, I need you to be boring for 6 weeks. Don't confront anybody. Just live your life." I tried. Carol didn't know the details yet, only that something was wrong, because she's known me 38 years and I stopped sleeping around week 2. I finally told her everything at the kitchen table on a Tuesday night. She went very quiet, the calm before she gets more furious than I've ever seen her. She read the filing twice, then, "That girl remembered my coffee order and forged my husband's signature in the same year. I'm almost impressed." 6 weeks later, on a Saturday in late July, Ryan and Amanda hosted a family dinner. Amanda's parents in from Salem. Rebecca had cleared us that same week. The power of attorney revoked, the notary confirmed fake, traced to a stamp kit ordered under Amanda's name, the transfer paperwork frozen before it ever reached the county desk. I drove over to speak to Ryan alone before her family sat down, because whatever was coming, I wanted my son to hear it from me first. Ryan met me at the door, and I saw it in his face before he said a word. The tight jaw, the eyes that wouldn't quite land on mine. He stepped into the doorway, arms out like a gate. "Dad, you are not going into that room while my wife's family is here." I stood there looking at my own son, guarding a table I'd been invited to, protecting the woman who'd forged my name. "Ryan, do you know what she did? Don't do this here." Amanda came up behind him, drying her hands on a dish towel. When she saw my face, she stopped in the hallway. "David, whatever this is, can it wait until my parents leave?" "No, Amanda. There's a power of attorney with my name on it, and a fake notary stamp on it, filed in March." She didn't flinch right away. I was protecting the house. Protecting it for the family, for Ryan, for you and Carol both. You're getting older and nothing was set up right. I never asked you to protect anything. You would have thanked me eventually, once you understood what I was trying to do for this family. The notary on that document doesn't exist, Amanda. There's no Sharon Meeks registered anywhere in this state. That's not protecting anybody. That's forgery. She didn't have an answer for that. I watched her face go still, the same stillness my own hands had gone in that parking lot. Ryan looked at her, then at me, and something behind his eyes cracked. Not surprise exactly. More like a man watching a bridge he'd already half suspected was rotten finally give way. "That's not what happened," he said. "She was just trying to help us plan ahead. My signature is forged, Ryan." There is no version of helping that includes forging a signature. He didn't have an answer either. I turned around, walked to my car, and called Rebecca before I'd even started the engine. "If this happened to you, if you found out someone in your own family had done this, what would you do?" The rest moved through Rebecca's office, not a courtroom shouting match. Amanda was charged with first-degree forgery and identity theft, both Class C felonies under Oregon law, given that the forged instrument involved a power of attorney and an attempted deed transfer on a house worth over $400,000. She pled to a reduced charge, 1 count of forgery, and got 3 years probation, restitution to cover our legal fees, and a permanent revocation of her paralegal certification through the state bar. She lost her job at Reyes and Blackmore within a week of the firm receiving Rebecca's subpoena. The copper skillet closed for good that October, the debt that started all of it finally catching up, regardless of anything she'd tried. Ryan moved out of their apartment in September. He and Amanda separated, not divorced yet, but living apart. He's been renting near Milwaukee since. He calls now every week, sometimes twice. It's not fixed. Rebecca told me some things take longer to repair than a court filing, and she's right. But he came to Thanksgiving. He sat next to me instead of across from me. That felt like something. The house is still ours, deed clean, nothing pending. Carol had the locks changed that same week, not because she thought Amanda would show up with a crowbar, but because, in her words, a woman deserves to feel like her own front door means something again. It's a Sunday evening now, 6 months later. Carol's in the kitchen arguing with a recipe that has personally wronged her. Gary's on the back porch pretending to fix a lawnmower that runs perfectly fine, just so he has an excuse to sit here. Carol yells through the window that dinner's in 20 minutes, and if Gary kills another patch of her grass, she's billing him for it. Gary yells back that he'll take that under advisement. I sit down next to him, and for a while neither of us says anything. And that's fine. Some evenings don't need filling.